The coin hit the floor before Eli even realized he'd been crying. It spun twice, caught the moonlight bleeding through the cracked window, and settled with a soft, metallic ring against the old wooden floorboard. Eli stared at it. His breath stopped. He knelt down slowly, the way you do when you're not sure if something is real, and picked it up between two fingers. It was warm. It was heavy. It was gold. He pressed the back of his hand to his cheek. Wet. He looked at the floor again. 3 more coins, scattered where his tears had fallen while he sat hunched over his father's photograph. His father, who had been buried in the cold ground 6 months ago with nothing but a borrowed suit and a wooden box. Eli's hands were shaking. He told himself it wasn't real. He went to bed. But in the morning, the coins were still there on the nightstand, glinting quietly in the pale morning light, indifferent to his disbelief. He was 12 years old, skinny, soft-spoken, and had always been the kind of boy who cried too easily. He cried when stray dogs limped past the school gate. He cried during thunderstorms, not from fear, but from some feeling he couldn't name. His classmates called him weak. His uncle once told him, "Boys who cry that much won't survive this world." Eli never argued. He just turned toward the window and let the tears come quietly, where no one could profit from them. Not yet. His mother, Ada, found the first coin by accident. It had rolled under the kitchen table. She picked it up, turned it over, and called out to him with a voice that was trying hard to sound casual. "Eli, where did this come from?" He told her the truth, because he always told her the truth. She was quiet for a long time. She sat down at the table, placed the coin in the center like it was a chess piece she was studying, and folded her hands. "Show me," she said softly. "Mama, I can't just." "Show me, Eli." He thought about his father's laugh. The way it boomed through the house on Sunday mornings. The way it was gone now, replaced by silence so thick it had its own weight. The tears came fast. 3 coins dropped from his jaw to the kitchen floor and skittered across the tile. Ada didn't gasp. She didn't cry. She got up, picked up each coin carefully, and held them in her palm. Her eyes were dry and distant, like she was already doing math in her head. "You don't tell anyone about this," she said. "Not a soul." "Mama, what is this? What's happening to me?" She looked at him then, and for just a moment, he saw something flicker behind her eyes. Something that might have been fear. Or love. Or both. Then it was gone. "It's a blessing," she said. "Now go wash your face." The blessing didn't stay secret for long. Within 2 weeks, Ada had quietly paid off 3 months of overdue rent, bought a new coat, and replaced the broken stove. She told the neighbors it was money from a distant relative. Nobody questioned it, because nobody wanted to. People rarely dig too deep when the story is convenient. But Eli noticed the changes in her. The way she would sit across from him at dinner and bring up his father unprompted. "Do you remember the night he got lost driving to your aunt's house?" She would say, her voice soft and nostalgic. And Eli would smile sadly, and the tears would come, and Ada would look down at her plate so she didn't have to watch the coins fall. He told himself she was just grieving. He told himself it was coincidence. Then came the night she put on the old home videos. She set up the small television in the living room, made him hot cocoa, and sat beside him with her arm around his shoulder. It felt like the old days, warm and safe. But 20 minutes in, when the footage showed his father teaching him to ride a bicycle and laughing that big Sunday laugh, Eli was sobbing openly. Ada held him tighter. Her other hand, the one he couldn't see, was quietly collecting the coins from the cushion beside him. "Mama." His voice cracked. "Mama, are you?" "Shish," she said. "Just let it out, baby. It's okay to cry." But it wasn't okay. And somewhere deep in his chest, Eli knew it. The merchant came the following week. Mr. Havel was a wide man with small eyes and a gold tooth that he liked to show when he smiled, which was often, because he had learned early in life that smiling made people trust him. He sat in their kitchen drinking tea like he'd been invited, and he spoke to Ada in a low voice while Eli sat in the hallway, back pressed against the wall, listening. "I don't need much from the boy, Mr. Havel said. "An hour, twice a week. I'll bring the material. Sad films, letters, whatever works. You get 40%. 50, Ada said. A pause. Then the gold tooth appeared. 50 it is. Eli pressed his fists against his knees so hard his knuckles went white. He wanted to burst through that door. He wanted to scream. He wanted to cry, but for the first time in his life, he was furious at himself for it, because crying was no longer his. It belonged to them now. At school, things were no different. Word had somehow reached the other children, the way secrets always reach children, fast and slightly distorted. Suddenly everyone wanted to sit with Eli at lunch. Suddenly everyone was kind. Daniel, who had called him a crybaby for 3 straight years, put his arm around him one afternoon and said, "Hey, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for being mean. You're actually really cool." Eli looked at him for a long moment. "What do you want, Daniel?" Daniel blinked. "Nothing, What do you want?" A long silence. "My mom said if I bring home one of those coins she'd get me the game I've been wanting." Eli picked up his lunch tray and walked away. He was running out of tears. But worse than that, he was running out of reasons to believe anyone shed them for him. The coins stopped on a Tuesday. Eli was sitting in Mr. Havel's back room, surrounded by flickering candles and a sobbing violin playing from an old record player, a glass of water on the table in front of him that nobody had asked if he wanted. Mr. Havel sat across from him holding a letter, supposedly written by Eli's father, supposedly found in an old jacket. Eli knew it was fake. The handwriting was wrong. His father had looped his G's. Whoever wrote this one didn't know that. Mr. Havel began reading it aloud in a slow, dramatic voice. Eli stared at the table. He felt nothing. Not grief, not anger, not even numbness. Just a vast, hollow quiet, like standing in a room where all the furniture had been removed and even the echo was gone. No tears came. No coins fell. Mr. Havel read louder. Eli blinked slowly. "What's wrong with you, Mr. Havel?" snapped, dropping the performance entirely. "Think about something sad. Think about your father." "I am," Eli said quietly. "Then cry." "I can't." "What do you mean you can't? You cry all the time, that's literally the only thing you're good at." Eli stood up, pushed his chair back, and walked out. Nobody stopped him. He heard Mr. Havel shouting behind him, but the words dissolved in the cold evening air the moment he stepped outside. He walked home slowly, hands in his pockets, watching his breath cloud and disappear in front of him, cloud and disappear, like everything else in his life. Ada barely spoke to him after that. The new stove still worked. The rent was still paid. But the warmth in the house had been one of the things quietly purchased with his pain, and now that the supply had dried up, it went with it. He sat alone at lunch every day that week. The table that had been crowded with suddenly generous classmates was empty again. Daniel had stopped making eye contact entirely. Eli ate his sandwich and watched the pigeons outside the window and thought that he and the pigeons had quite a lot in common. Everyone tossed them crumbs when they wanted something. Nobody actually wanted them around. It was on Friday that Mara sat down across from him. She didn't ask permission. She just settled her tray down, adjusted the thick frames of her glasses, and said, "You look like someone who hasn't had a real conversation in a while." Eli stared at her. "I don't have any gold coins," he said flatly. "Just so you know." She tilted her head. "I don't know what that means. I just moved here 3 days ago." She held out her hand. "I'm Mara. I'm partially blind and I talk too much. Your turn." Something shifted in Eli's chest. Small, but real. "Eli," he said, "I cry too much. Or I used to." She smiled. "We should get along fine then." They talked for the entire lunch period. She didn't ask him about coins, or his father, or anything that required him to perform sadness. She asked him what his favorite cloud shape was, whether he thought pigeons were misunderstood, and if he'd ever tried to whistle with 2 fingers. He hadn't. She spent 10 minutes trying to teach him, and he laughed so hard his sides hurt, and it was the first laugh that hadn't cost him anything in months. Over the following weeks, Mara became the one real thing in Eli's life. She was funny and sharp and unafraid of silence. She never looked at the floor when they talked. She never reached for anything that wasn't offered. One afternoon she told him quietly that her remaining vision was fading, that there was a surgery that could help, but that her family was still saving, and that she was trying hard not to be scared about it. She said it the way people say things when they're not asking for help. Just placing it gently on the table between them like something that deserved to be acknowledged. Eli felt something crack open deep inside his chest. Not the hollow manufactured grief that Mr. Havel had tried to harvest. Something older and truer. A love that had no angle to it, no transaction waiting on the other side. He thought about Mara adjusting her thick frames and laughing at pigeons. He thought about her sitting alone in a dark world, getting darker, still making space at the table for a broken boy she didn't even know yet. The tears came before he could stop them. They fell fast and hard and warm, and when they hit the floor of his bedroom that night, the coins that appeared were unlike anything before. Broader, brighter, so heavy they sank slightly into the old floorboards. He knelt down and gathered them one by one, and for the first time since this all began, he didn't feel wronged. He felt like himself. He left the envelope at Mara's front door before sunrise. No name, no note, just enough. He walked home as the sky turned pink and gold at the edges, and he sat by his window, the same cracked window where it had all started, and he let the morning wash over him. A stray dog limped past the gate below. Eli watched it, felt the familiar sting behind his eyes, and smiled. He didn't wipe his tears away this time. He just let them fall, and whatever came from them, he decided, would never belong to anyone but him again.